You know that feeling, that gut feeling? Or when you're nervous and you get butterflies in your stomach? Well, it turns out those aren't just cute little phrases. They're pointing to a hardwired biological reality. Today, we're going to dive deep into this incredible gut-brain connection and find out how the state of your stomach can literally control your mood.
So let's just jump right in with a question that sounds, well, a little out there. What if a heated argument with someone could actually physically make your gut sick? It sounds kind of crazy, right? But this one provocative idea is at the very heart of a fascinating scientific investigation we're about to unpack.
All right, so think of this as a scientific detective story. The big mystery is the link between our emotional stress and actual physical inflammation in the body. And the crime scene? Well, it's a research lab studying married couples. So here's the setup. The investigators brought in 43 healthy married couples. The mission was simple. They wanted to see if the psychological stress from a simple disagreement could leave a physical footprint, something they could actually measure in their blood. The experiment itself was honestly pretty genius. First, every single person ate the exact same high-fat meal. This was to get everyone on the same metabolic starting line. Then, for 20 minutes, they were asked to discuss a topic they already knew was a sore spot for them. And the whole time, researchers were in the background, drawing blood samples, looking for clues. So the trap was set. Now the scientists put on their detective hats and started sifting through the evidence, all those blood samples, searching for any sign of a physical reaction to the argument. And wow, did they find something? A really clear pattern started to emerge. The couples who were more hostile in their arguments, using sarcasm, criticism, that kind of thing, they had way higher levels of this one mysterious substance in their blood, called LBP. The less hostile couples, their levels were much lower. Okay, so this was the smoking gun. But finding this clue just opened up bigger questions, like what on earth is LBP? And more importantly, what does it have to do with the gut? The answer to that is where we find the real culprit in this whole mystery. It turns out all that LBP in the blood was pointing directly to one thing, a condition you might have heard of called leaky gut. So what exactly is a leaky gut? Okay, imagine the lining of your intestines is like a super tight security fence. Its job is to let all the good stuff, like nutrients, pass through while keeping all the bad stuff, especially bacterial toxins, locked inside. A leaky gut is what happens when that fence gets damaged, when little holes appear and those nasty toxins start leaking out into your bloodstream where they absolutely do not belong. And that brings us right back to our main clue, LBP. This protein is basically your body's emergency first responder. The moment it detects these bacterial toxins leaking into the blood, its levels shoot through the roof. So LBP isn't the problem itself, it's the alarm bell screaming that the gut's defenses have been breached. And just like that, the whole mystery clicks into place. The emotional stress from that 20-minute argument literally weakened the gut lining of the more hostile people. That damage allowed bacterial toxins to leak out, which then triggered the body's alarm system, cranking up those LBP levels. It's a direct physical line from a bad conversation to a leaky gut. So we've identified the culprit. We know how stress can poke holes in our gut lining, but what's the real damage here? What happens when these toxins are just constantly trickling into our system? Well, your whole body goes on red alert. Your immune system is basically fighting a low-level war 24/7 against these invaders. And that creates a state of chronic, low-grade inflammation, not just in your gut, but everywhere. It becomes a whole body problem. And the health risks that come with this constant simmering inflammation, well, they're not small. In fact, they can be incredibly serious. Get this, a staggering 79% of the people in the study with the highest signs of a leaky gut, they had inflammation levels so high that doctors would classify them as being at high risk for a future heart attack or stroke. That's a direct link from hostile arguments to serious cardiovascular danger. But believe it or not, the story doesn't even end there. So far, we've only talked about how the brain stress can wreck the gut. But this is not a one-way street. The gut talks right back to the brain. And this can create a really nasty, powerful, vicious cycle. Right. This isn't just about stress giving you a stomachache. An unhealthy, inflamed gut is constantly sending its own signals up to the brain. Signals that can actually create or worsen feelings of anxiety and depression. That, of course, creates more stress, which damages the gut even more.
It's a feedback loop from hell. So let's just walk through how this works. Step 1. Stress messes up your gut. Step 2. Now your gut hurts, so you get anxious about what you're eating. Step 3. That anxiety leads you to eat a weird, restrictive diet which starves your good gut bacteria. Step 4. Now your gut bacteria are all out of whack and they start sending inflammatory signals back up to the brain which, you guessed it, makes you feel even more stressed and anxious. And round we go.
All of this really means we need to totally reframe how we think about our gut. It's not just some simple tube for processing food. It's an incredibly complex and intelligent command center that's in constant communication with your brain. You know, this constant back and forth chatter is exactly why scientists now call the gut our second brain. It has its own separate nervous system. It's called the enteric nervous system, and it influences pretty much everything from our immune system right up to our emotions.
So when you really boil it all down, what all this research is telling us is that the connection between how you feel emotionally and how your gut feels physically, it's not just a metaphor. It's a tangible, measurable, biological fact with huge consequences for our health. So I guess I'll just leave you with this final, really important question. If your gut truly is a second brain, and it's constantly sending you signals about your stress, your food, your whole life, how are you going to start listening to what it's trying to tell you?